Is now former Deputy National Security Advisor to the President, President Trump, Victoria Coates. She's also Vice President of National Security for the Heritage Foundation. And it is wonderful to have you this morning, Victoria. So security guarantees land, those remain the big sticking points in these discussions. The president held this press conference with Zelenskyy yesterday after meeting. And there's been some mixed reaction regarding how much progress was actually made. What was your read after hearing those comments?
Well, good morning, Kelly. Good to be with you. I think one of the things the president said that was quite revealing was that this was progress that's been made over time. And we all remember the really contentious meeting in the Oval Office last February, the first meeting between President Trump and President Zelenskyy, and it went poorly, in a word. But since that, over the course of the last 10 months, we've really made a lot of progress with that relationship, with the trust between them. And so I think what was really important about yesterday was that they did make some progress, and the president talked to both President Putin and President Zelenskyy. He's the only one who can talk to both of them and try to get to a resolution of this war. We're looking at the 4th anniversary of it in February. So any progress that can be made is good news.
Right. And to your point, you know, the president, he also had a warning when asked what happens if these talks sputter in a few weeks. Here was his response.
If things don't happen, they keep fighting and they keep dying. And we don't want that to happen. He doesn't want it to happen. President Putin doesn't want it to happen.
And at the same time, we saw those deadly Russian strikes in Kyiv over the weekend. Many, including Zelenskyy, say, you know, they don't believe Putin is serious about a peace deal here. What are your thoughts on Putin's objective and the president's comments we played there?
Well, certainly President Zelenskyy can be forgiven for not believing the best of President Putin after, as I said, 4 years of war, all of the deaths. And, you know, President Trump and Secretary Rubio have been very clear. This is a war in Europe. It is not a direct national security threat to the United States. The reason he's doing this, the reason he's investing so much time and energy and currency into trying to resolve the war is really just for the greater good of the world. He feels he can play this unique role in terms of diplomacy, in terms of getting to potential a viable peace deal, and so he's willing to put in that energy. But that isn't something that is, as I said, in the vital national security interests of the United States. So we're not going to put in, you know, unlimited more dollars. We're not going to, God forbid, put boots on the ground. That's for Europe to do if that's how they want to resolve this war.
And that may add to the urgency, the pressure here. Also, what may be another lever. Recently, you had the Washington Post reporting that Russia's economy, that it's been driving this war, but they're forecasting some changes next year, namely problems in the oil sector, a possible banking crisis, consumer woes, this all as prices for Russian oil plummet over sanctions. Do you believe Putin is under more pressure right now to do a deal, make a deal?
Oh, absolutely. And that's the problem with the so-called wartime economy that Russians have been running on. Yes, you can spend a ton of money on your military, and that does provide growth in the short term, but you can't eat that. You can't, it doesn't provide anything for your citizenry. So this was inevitable. And the sanctions the president put it on in October, particularly on Rosneft and Lukoil, are really starting to bite. People will see some changes at, they say, the Lukoil station that you have locally. Those are starting to be impacted. So that is the way actually to bring Putin to the table. And as the president said, that will take time. Big question mark there is what China's going to do. Are they going to continue to prop up the Russian economy, or do they have problems of their own that make that a less appealing proposition? So that may be in 2026 the lever that finally does get Putin to the table.
We'll be following it closely. Victoria, great to have you weigh in. Thank you very much, Victoria Coates. Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.